Hi, I'm Dillon.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome back to Adaptation Station, the show where we review books and their movie adaptations. One of us reads the book and then watches the movie. The other watches the movie and then reads the book. We give you our recommendation for which order gives you the best experience. And today, we're back with another Michael Crichton. We're talking about Congo.
Published in 1980. After the one we did, A Case of Need, was one of his earlier ones. This is also after Andromeda Strain. It's before Sphere. Sphere was 1983, I believe. This one tells the story of a company that sends an expedition into the Congo looking for industrial diamonds, but that whole expedition gets wiped out. And there's a mysterious gorilla of some sort caught on the camera there, and so they have to put together another team to go back in, obviously, and in competition with another company to try to find where they were and they're ultimately trying to find this source of diamonds. The big thing along the way is they recruit a primatologist who has alongside him a gorilla named Amy, who knows sign language.
Congo was adapted 15 years later into a movie in 1995, directed by Frank Marshall. So it's a while after the book, after Jurassic Park came out as a movie.
And before Sphere.
And before the Sphere movie, yeah. The movie stars Laura Linney as Dr. Karen Ross, Tim Curry as Herkimer Homolka, Dylan Walsh as Dr. Peter Elliott, the primatologist, Ernie Hudson as Captain Monroe Kelly, Joe Don Baker as R.B. Travis, and Lola No as the voice of Amy. Also, a fun fact that I read is that Ernie Hudson stated that playing the character Captain Monroe Kelly is his personal favorite performance in his whole career.
Wow. And he was in Ghostbusters.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's kind of surprising, but take that, Ghostbusters. Congo's more fun.
A little comment before we start there is you might be thinking, this is a gorilla and knows sign language. Why is there a voice of this gorilla?
That's one of the biggest differences.
She has a glove that translates her sign language into speech.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting watching the movie because I hadn't read the book first, so I assumed that was going to be in the book.
It's not in the book.
But yeah, they explain that science in the movie, that like they put this device, she puts on the gloves, so while she's signing, it makes a voice.
Yeah, it's an interesting and kind of creative way to get around having to like subtitle what she's saying or something like that, or have Peter react and translate every single time.
I thought it was kind of cool. It's not too far-fetched because there's like Stephen Hawking's device to translate what he's saying. So it didn't strike me as kind of out there when I was just watching the movie. But Tim Curry's character did.
Tim Curry, that's not even a character in the book.
That was surprising once I got to the book.
They changed a lot of things from the book to the movie. And Tim Curry is one of the wildest, like, what the heck is this character?
Yeah, when I was watching the movie, I just thought, okay, he's kind of funny. He's this eccentric Romanian philanthropist who just wants to go on the adventure. And it had me thinking, like, is he always like that? He's always like a bad guy or somebody creepy. I was trying to think, has he ever been like the good guy or a hero in a movie? Let me know in the comments. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But yeah, then I was really surprised when I read the book to find that he's not even a character in the book.
No.
Why did they throw a Romanian philanthropist?
No, a lot of these decisions from book to movie are kind of like, why? I mean, the biggest thing I think that explains most of what they've done is they veered away from all the technology and that part of it. Like that's the main part of the book, is like explaining also why they need these diamonds and talking about a lot of the different technology they use to find where they're going and look back at history and stuff like that. They didn't touch on that stuff as much from a technical perspective in the movie. They mostly made it an adventure movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
With some out there technology. Like they have a laser gun in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Based on diamonds.
And, they put the diamonds in and it shoots a laser. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't be so interesting for the movie, but one I found that was interesting to me in the book is when they're on their way there and they're using whatever computer technology they have that's telling them how far away it is and how much time exactly it will take to get there. And that's really interesting for 1980 that he basically predicted Google Maps.
Yeah, Google Maps, and then just like that kind of prediction software in general, that was being worked on at that time. That's what he's basing it kind of on. But yeah, I really like that about the book and about Michael Crichton. Even if it's from 1980, you can take yourself back and go like, okay, what did they know then? He makes a lot of, what's interesting to me is like a lot of science fiction will make big sweeping extrapolations of technology, a la flying cars, like go way far in the future and talk about flying cars. He goes 5 years into the future or something and picks a couple things and tries to see, okay, in a few years, what wildly different technology is going to come, because this was a time when that was happening. It still does happen, when you think just 5 years or 10 years, what happens and what are the little things. So it's interesting how he goes like, it's going to be diamonds used in communications. That didn't really happen the way that he is expecting. A lot more wireless technology happened, and the technology in computer chips is different from what he explains, but it's still interesting to see, to have him talk about that very specifically, about what it could look like.
And that gets to what I love about Michael Crichton in general, as I've been reading through his stuff. Just to get to my taste is that I generally like realism, like realistic stories more than like high fantasy.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of science fiction tends to be basically fantasy.
Yeah.
It's like everyone takes a jetpack to work and your coworker's an alien.
Yeah, that is true. It's more like science fantasy.
It's not very grounded, And I love his, they seem real. Like from the beginning of the book, I really liked the introduction was like explaining the Congo region of Africa. And it's like, it really takes the perspective that like this is a real thing. Like you're reading a history book.
That's how it's stated that way. It's supposed to be
it's like a travel log.
Non-fiction account of what happened.
I love how he does that because he does a good job of writing in that style, the way you would read nonfiction.
Yeah, and I had that note about that too. With like he has dialed down the footnotes a little bit more in this one, which like. I think that was a criticism you kind of had for A Case of Need, is like the footnotes were too many. It seemed out of place. I like it, but in this book, to me, it's like he has dialed it back a little bit more.
It's worked into the story.
Into the story. It makes sense that it's a nonfiction account that someone has written. Still, I felt like since it's written like that, a nonfiction account, he could have used more footnotes and it would have made more sense. In this one, there's kind of not that many, and it kind of almost makes it be like, why are any of these even in here?
I could see that.
A little bit.
I did like those parts where it goes in to explain like a research study. It gets to like a literature review type of part, or it talks about B.F. Skinner's study about communication.
Yeah, and I do still like that about Michael Crichton. It's one of my favorite things to get those little footnotes about just explaining more. I like that his books just explain science also. They have at least some character in there that tries to explain what's going on with everything.
And it's like he strikes a good balance of not over-explaining it, that it's boring, but also not doing the thing that happens in a lot of sci-fi where it's like one guy starts to explain science and then another character's like, in English, please. Yeah. And then they really dumb it down.
Yeah. No, he doesn't do that because he assumes that everybody in this who's going to be talking about that, they understand it. They're talking to each other about it. And you might have somebody who's a little more lost in the world, like Peter Elliott doesn't know the technology, but he's just there. How many people in real life go, in English, please? They would just kind of be like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, they would probably try to keep up though, or ask questions. Yeah. Not like, hey, the audience isn't going to like that. Dumb it down for us. But speaking of that, I liked that in Sphere especially, they're all different kinds of scientists.
Yeah.
So they all assume each other is like smart enough to understand high concepts, but they work in different fields, so they do have to explain stuff.
There's a lot of that in Michael Crichton books, because like this has that, right?
That's what I was going to get to, is like I really like the character of Peter Elliott because like you said, he's not a technology guy. He's like an anthropologist and primatologist. And then we have the Captain Monroe, who's kind of just like a military guy.
Yeah, he's kind of just...
But I like that kind of difference between like academia versus just being out in the wild. And also the politics of what's going on in Africa, because they have rebel groups. So I like how Peter Elliott interacts with the wild, where he's like looking at the gorillas and he's like, oh, from what I've read or what I've studied, they won't attack us.
If I just stand here, and he just like does it, and Monroe's like, that was good. He gained some points with that.
Yeah. But he's also a little unsure at times. He's like, oh, they're not going to cross that river. But he's like, well, maybe they will. I don't really know. I haven't been here.
Yeah.
So there's like a little bit of doubt still. Yeah, and I like the way that plays out with all the characters.
I mean, and that same kind of getting a bunch of scientists together is in Jurassic Park. Yeah. Also, it's like, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I'm not in a science world, but I feel like that happens. Like when you're going to work on something or, fix a problem, you will call a bunch of different types of scientists. Yeah. Right? Yeah. To work on it. So I think it works, and that's based in realism again. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I also have never worked in anything like science, but I've worked as a teacher, and I know in certain meetings, like I've worked with teachers who teach different subjects, and that's always an interesting dynamic when we're talking about something. You can compare different subjects, different fields. So yeah, I love that dynamic in this one and other Crichton books. One thing I want to say about the movie as compared to the book is that the characters' motivations were not as clear to me. I hadn't read the book. Yeah. So when I was watching the movie, and they're going deeper and deeper into this dangerous situation, I kept thinking, why don't they just leave? Like, what is keeping them going? Because... Yeah, I get that. Yeah, Karen's motivation in the book is pretty clear. Kind of clear. That she's very career-driven. Yeah, and she feels like she's overlooked so far. She's also young and ambitious. Yeah. And they explain that with the computer has, like, personality readouts of people. Yeah, right? Yeah. And that's one. And I loved her character in the book. Yeah. It seemed very clear the type of person she was. Mm-hmm. In the movie, it's like she's looking for her ex-husband is her main motivation, right? Oh, I don't Something even remember like that. Who was on the expedition. Yeah. Yeah. And like, it was so clear that the boss didn't care about that. Yeah. The boss was so angry in the movie. And the book, he's not. He's like on board, but very realistic. Like, we just have to get this done. And he's very straightforward. But like I said, that they made so much like drama in the movie. There, I wrote down one quote that's like, "Tell me you love your son," or whatever. I was like, what? That was not believable. And it was inconsequential to the rest of the movie. Because his son was out there on the original expedition. Yeah, it was her motivation, or whatever. Kind of, but he only cared about the money and the diamonds. Yeah, exactly. That was not believable at all to me. His character was like a caricature of like, evil boss only cares about money. Yes, yeah, and that's one thing they made up or changed, for the book, along with adding Tim Curry for comic relief, kind of. They dumbed down Karen Ross's role and her authority and everything, because she is the one who put together the expedition in the book and was in charge of everything, including bringing Peter Elliott. But in the movie, Peter Elliott is going on the trip. Like, he's the one who's on, and Karen tags along with him. Yeah, with Tim Curry's character or whatever, who also helps like organize it. Or fund it, he funds it. Yeah, that's weird. And because he's looking for he has the picture or whatever of the place with that relic, the lost city or whatever of Zinj. That's another thing about the motivations. Like, Karen Ross's was missing. The boss wasn't believable. And I liked Peter Elliott's motivation to go in the book better, because he was a little more like, he's really into his research and Amy, but it's kind of controversial. Yeah. Like, in academia, people are attacking his career. Yeah. So it's not totally going well for him. Yeah, because they also think like it's animal abuse or something to have Amy like she's a slave and she'd be in the jungle. And so that's kind of the motivation, is he kind of wants to take her. He thinks that she's having nightmares and stuff, visions of the jungle maybe, and she kind of is. Yeah. Because that's where she came from. Mm-hmm. But that's his motivation to go. Yeah. Yeah, so that motivation was more clear and more interesting in the book, for sure. Also in the book, Amy can understand the other gorilla-type creatures, gorillas. So she can, like, translate. Well, yeah, she can kind of... Yeah, that's right. She does kind of translate the gray gorillas, but she does, like, go off with the regular gorillas for a while, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is, like, they're foreign to her. I like how it explains in the book, too. She thinks she's a human, kind of. Kind of. And because she comes back and she's like, they're dumb, they can't talk. Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah. And then at the end, Amy has a baby, and the baby can sign also.
So the fact that they didn't include that in the movie, to me, seemed like they really missed the point of the anthropological stuff, the stuff about communication between different species.
Yeah, it goes back to the same thing. It's not a technical movie. It's an adventure movie where they wanted to shoot gorillas with lasers and see them melt in lava.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our ratings. You read it first.
Yeah, I read it first. This is not my favorite Michael Crichton book, but I do like Michael Crichton still. So I gave this an 8.
Okay.
The book.
Yeah, good score.
And then I watched the movie. I give it a 6.1.
Okay. Mine's not too far off. I watched the movie first. I gave it a 6.8, a little bit higher. And then I read the book. I gave it an 8.3.
Okay.
Also a little
bit higher on both of them.
Yeah, I really liked Congo. Not as much as Sphere, but I liked it quite a bit. Okay, as for the book, I gave it an 8.3.
I gave it an 8.0. Averages out to an 8.15.
Strong score.
Yeah.
Over on Goodreads, the readers give it a 3.63.
Oh, okay. So that's only, 7.26.
So we would have to say it's underrated.
Yeah.
As for the movie, I gave it a 6.8. You gave it a 6.1.
Yeah. 6.45. That comes out to.
That's like all right.
Pretty mediocre.
But over on Rotten Tomatoes, wow, the critics gave it a 23% and the audience a 29%.
Yeah,
they hated
it. Pretty
they
bad.
Really did not like it. So we didn't give it a high rating, but we still have to say the movie is underrated too.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not. It's not that bad. Gosh, I'm a little torn on this one, only because after reading the book, the movie kind of is a letdown. But it also doesn't seem like the movie ruined the book for you. That's hard. That's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
But I think because of that, if you're gonna consume both of them, I almost say watch the movie first.
Really?
I do. I think I say watch the movie first.
I was thinking read the book first. Just because, I did still enjoy the book, but part of me feels like it would have been more fun to get the mystery of it while reading the book with all those details. And then the movie would still be fun to watch. So, I guess I don't have a strong opinion about this one either, but I'm going to say read the book first.
All right. Well, we disagree.
We both recommended the opposite of what we did.
Mine was based mostly on the fact that you still rated that higher than I did.
That's true. Yeah.
Even after you watched the movie. So,
well, let's get into how these two versions of Congo fit on our overall ongoing rankings.
And the first one we get to is not that far down, number 13 on the list at 8.15. Congo hits there right under the Drive My Car movie, 10 Things I Hate About You, tied that at 11 there, and right above NW.
That is pretty high.
The book. It's pretty high.
Considering how many things we have.
Considering we have 58 things on this list right now. And to get to the book, we got to go a little further down.
The movie, yeah.
The movie, sorry. To get to the movie, we got to go further down to number 43. Three-way tie for number 43 between the Congo movie, The Last Duel book, and She's the Man, the movie.
Interesting. So, pretty far down there, but not the lowest.
But right above
the
the Carrie Treatment movie.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. The book's pretty high, so I'm still going to say this season's going pretty strong. We got some highly rated things on there. Speaking of that, what are we doing next month?
Next month, we're doing Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. And then the movie adaptation we're doing that is Get Over It.
That's another kind of teen twist on
Similar
Shakespeare.
To 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, we did 10 Things I Hate About You.
And She's the Man.
Yeah, so we're continuing that trend for next month. Stick around for that. As for Congo, viewer, you tell me, which is better, the book or the movie?
Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends to tune in too.
You can click another video now. Thank you. Bye.